This is video 4 of the Silvopasture demonstration, and we're in an area that's actually been recently thinned, and prior to thinning it had actually been pruned. So we're currently standing in an area that was planted with loblolly pine. So one thing, again, I'm not really sure how well the video is going to show this scale, but I'll put my hand on this loblolly and I can tell you it's almost double the diameter of some of the longleaf pine that we saw in our previous video. So loblolly pine is definitely growing better on this site, at least earlier on than we're seeing in the longleaf pine. So much so that they've started thinning in here. So if we look down, this particular site was just row thinned. So what they did is they came in and they cut out every single tree that was in the middle, assuming most of those were a little bit more suppressed than the trees that were on the outside, so they had smaller diameters. Another thing that was done, if you look, there are fewer branches on these trees. However, I will say that's not just due to the, I guess, branching habits of loblolly pine. They actually pruned out here a number of years ago. So to try to get out ahead of some of the reductions in quality that we mentioned in a previous video that we're seeing on some of the edge trees, where because they're kind of clear on that side, they put out some decent sized branches a little lower down the bowl than we would normally want to see in a plantation setting where we're trying to grow, high quality forest products like saw timber. They actually came in and pruned. So if you look hard at some of these trees, you can actually see some of the marks of where they tried to prune off some of the branches and just improve the quality of that first log on these trees. So that, you can read all sorts of different research about pruning in plantations. I know there are certain industrial landowners that get into that. And you can see that there's oftentimes a case for it, but oftentimes it's not necessarily feasible to go out and prune on a large scale. However, in a situation like silvopasture, where you have those earlier income streams and you're oftentimes kind of upping the intensity of management on a very small area to maximize profit, something like pruning may have the potential to pay off on a site like this, because with this few trees in the system, it is of the utmost importance to make sure that each one of those trees is about as valuable as you can get them. So pruning and thinning are things that, this project, it's relatively new to implementing those practices, but it is something that's going to be studied long term. So I would encourage you to look back in a couple of years and see what you can find of how these practices played out on this site.